All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And you'll have to pronounce your name for me because I know
That's okay. That's okay. It's
I'm
Chawndra.
good at phonics. I'm good at phonics, but it's I don't want to mess up your name here. How do you say it again?
It's Chawndra Chisholm.
Chandra Children. So we have Chandra here. She's going to talk a little bit about her debt free journey here. Just right quick before we get into it, as always, I want to express my appreciation to you guys coming up on this holiday. Money Talks group, about 18 months old, about 13 plus hundred of you guys in the group. I appreciate you guys being a part, asking a question, coming in, trying to get answers to your questions, trying to figure out your next step in your wealth building journey. And I'm glad I can be a part of that. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit that like, and go ahead and drop a comment of something that you might be able to take away. But we appreciate you there too. And if you're on YouTube, check us out on Facebook, Money Talks there. Chandra, you know why we're here, and most people do because I try to give you a heads up. Hey, we're going to discuss our debt-free journey. Chandra, how much did you pay off? What kind of debt was it? Tell us a little bit about your story of how this got going.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I find the group just to be so instrumental. And, I'm glad that I accepted the invite. My friend Rakita is the one that actually, I recommended the group to me. And it was helpful for me just to keep going on my journey. Year to date, paid off like around 65,000 just this year.
Wow.
The journey's been a while, right? The journey's
Right.
been since probably about 2018.
Okay.
I learned of the Dream Catchers Live Richer group with Tiffany Alashay I was telling you about.
Yeah.
And she was just talking about how on a teacher's salary, the amount of debt that she was able to pay off, save, and buy a house. And I was just like, man, like I'm making way more than that and I'm doing less, right?
Right.
So
So
I
I
was like, I
think
really got to get my life together. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that just kind of sparked something in me, and it was just other little things along the way too, just to be completely transparent. I had got myself into a lot of debt, I don't know if you've heard of Navy Federal
yeah.
Bank.
Yeah, they usually
Okay.
have great.
They do. But yeah, in like a year, I found myself like over $20,000 in debt with Navy Federal, just, a credit card debt. And I was just like, man, you know what I mean? I had credit cards with Bank of America, I had credit cards with Capital One. It was, 25,000 of that was just literally credit card debt. And then of course I had my car. I had just brought in a brand new car in 2017. That was about 25K there. And then, just old collections, outstanding, things that we wait 7 to 10 years to fall off of our
Yeah.
credit, medical bills, stuff like that. And I just really felt like I couldn't get ahead in life,
Okay.
I was doing pretty well financially, but the second eye opener was, I really wanted to buy a house and I was looking to purchase a home. And you working in the industry, making, almost six figures, they told me I qualify for about 125K for a home loan in Charlotte.
That's income.
It was a debt to income. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
They were looking like, wow, like
Yeah.
we need you to take care of ABCD. And that's really where I was just like, you know what, I got to get more serious about, paying down the debt that I had, I looked to see where I could just kind of cut back on things and things like that, did a budget. You and I chopped it up a little bit, but, some things for me is that, I drove an affordable car for several years. Was it the car that I wanted? I did, but did I want something else? Did I want the Audi? Did I want the Benz, the BM?
Of
Absolutely.
course. I want that. Like, why would I want that?
Like, my,
Having technical difficulties. I don't think we. I think she might have went out a little bit. He might have went out. 1 second. 1 second. I think he might have went out. I'm sorry. You you took your mic out. Okay, there you go.
okay, yeah, sorry about that.
No
But
worries.
yeah, there were things that I wanted, and I realized that, I had a goal that I wanted to accomplish, and I just really began to trim the fat, just like in all areas,
Okay.
of my life, so that I could begin paying down the debt. But still, yeah, when you got an $18,000 credit card bill, you paying almost $700 a month.
Yeah, at least 3%, bare minimum.
Crazy,
Yeah.
crazy, crazy. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I mean, the amount that I was paying on outstanding debt was more than my rent. Like it
Mm.
was ridiculous. And I wanted more freedom. It was taxing, it was stressful at times. I realized for the amount of money that I was making, I really had nothing to show for it. And I just kind of wanted something different. And, it really started with me with just kind of making extra payments here and there, on my car, on my credit card bill and things like that. But thankfully, I work in sales and, the money
That's
fluctuates.
the income. Yeah.
The
It's
money
good, and
fluctuates.
it can be bad.
Absolutely, the money fluctuates. And
Yeah.
when I started getting, commission and things like that, like I started paying lump sums, on my bills and things like that. And really, like the first half of this year was just go mode for me. Like
Okay.
anytime that I got, a couple $1,000s, I was putting it towards, paying off credit cards, my car. I actually got into a car wreck last year
Okay.
and, got a little bit of money from that. Um, Wanted to get a new car again,
Right.
right? But I was just like, hey, listen, like I have a goal that I want to accomplish. I want to be debt free. I wanted to buy a house. That was my goal when I became debt free. And now I'm just like, I really just want to build generational wealth. Like I just want to build wealth. I don't
Yeah.
think that I want to go
The
out and
goal
make it
changes.
important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The goal definitely changes. So I know you just unloaded a lot, so I just want to back you up just a second. So you
Mhm.
had this goal, you started, you looking at your income. First, it sounds like you found or you saw the opportunity when you were not comparing, but you heard somebody else's story that you're like, well,
Yes,
shoot, they made
absolutely.
50, 60,000.
Mhm.
I made more than them. They did X, Y, and Z. So here that person's accomplishing all this stuff, and you're wondering how did they accomplish it on that income.
Mhm.
Then and just numbers wise, now granted everybody's situation is different, where you live at, all those type of things that can be different, but the core thing of what you're talking about, you wasn't getting down into the nitty gritty of the budget. You just simply said, hey, they bought a house, they did two three other things, paid off debt,
Exactly.
on this income during this time. When I look at my scenario, I had some debt, I'm making more income, so common sense seems like it kicked in for you. It was like, hey, I should probably be doing better than what I'm doing now.
Absolutely.
Uh, and then, so what was the thing that, I mean, you heard that, and I know I kind of told you, so I'm probably getting it early. What was the thing that made you believe that you could actually do it and start moving like all your energy towards kind of paying off your debt? Because again, you had a goal in mind. You wanted to pay off I'm sorry, you wanted to get out of debt, but then you also wanted to purchase a home with it, which is two big things. So, what was the thing
Mhm.
that made you kind of believe that you could actually do it?
I mean, honestly, I just began to surround myself, with people who were on the same journey as I was. And I joined a lot of Facebook groups, and that's what I put my time, focus, and attention towards. You know what I
Okay,
mean? Bernadette Joy is someone else that I follow on Facebook, and she's just always talking about, the debt free journey. Dave Ramsey, with Financial Peace University. I really just started buying in and subscribing to things that would help me achieve my goal. And the more I heard a story that it could be done, the more I told myself that I could do it at the end of the day. Right.
okay. So
Um,
one thing wasn't gonna. So
Absolutely.
the budget needs to. Hearing hers, that's great, but that one time wasn't gonna get you to do it. But when you heard it consistently, and for me, it sounds like there were people doing it, you just wasn't aware of it, and so you know what I mean. One person, that person dropped off a cliff, but when four, five, six, seven, and consistently
Absolutely.
all the way around, people are doing this, then that starts to make it a little bit more realistic. That's good. That's really good.
Absolutely. And I sought out, to hear more stories for
Okay.
encouragement because you need encouragement along the way.
Right.
Because, everyone ain't going to fall in line with you. You're going to have your friends that are going to be like, hey, let's go out, let's go here, let's take this trip, and don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I still did those things, but much more in moderation. And also my income. I was able to grow my income, which
Okay.
is huge,
Yeah.
right? So many times we start, side businesses and pick up side hustles and things like that, and we grow our income, but we don't put it towards the right
Right.
thing.
Right.
And I think that's what I learned the most in hearing, different stories of people becoming debt free.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's a decision to pay off the money that you owe, period.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that are just content with having debt, and they're just like, oh, but I got good credit. Debt is okay as long as you manage it.
Yeah.
But you're in bondage. You're in bondage.
You go
Just
to
because you
work,
can pay the
God,
monthly
hey,
bill,
I
you
mean,
can't walk away from your job because you got to pay the monthly bill.
yeah. Or
And I
you think
didn't
about
live that
walking away.
anymore.
You thinking about it before you instead of just waking up. Look, I ain't coming in today. You seen Johnny? No, I ain't seen Johnny. So no,
Listen.
it's true. It's shocking. Like I've been sharing with you guys, like the whole thing about building wealth. It's a journey. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that even 1 2 years you could probably pay off your debt. Average person probably could pay off their debt in probably about 2 years. But when
Mhm.
we're talking about wealth, wealth is the accumulation of assets, and when you accumulate something, that's built over time. So
Absolutely.
what you're talking about is you're starting a journey, and one piece of that was for you a realization. The second piece was you got out of debt. Third piece might be the house. Fourth might be you're starting to invest. And as you start to do that, and you continue, once you get all those pieces actually in place, then you have to work the pieces for 3 4 years. The
Mhm.
good thing is over that time, your assets will grow, more opportunity comes. As far as, yeah, you have things to manage, but it makes your purchases, it makes your mindset. You're not always going to have the, oh man, I just got 10 grand. No, your money would have grown a little bit. It gives you
Right.
more confidence to keep investing. But
Right.
this journey, it is simply that. It's not something that turns around. But to your point, it's will you actually play through? The
Mhm.
will you actually be accountable to the decisions you're making? I
Mhm.
like to talk to a lot of people, and one of the things that anybody says, anybody, if you talk to uh, people who have been successful, whatever they are seeking to do, they have a strong belief that they can do it. I know in
Absolutely.
several books, millionaire books, that's one of the key things. They believe, they have positive intent in their mind, but they believe that they can do what they set their mind to.
Mhm.
And what you're talking about is, yeah, for so long when you're handed a program rather than developing your own, you're handed a program and you're coming out of it, and now you got new information. It's conflicting with some of the things that, I mean, I'm 35. Some of the things I heard when, say about 35 years.
Right.
Now you're talking about, hey, you gotta, say one big one for me was, in order to make a good salary, you have to keep your haircut low, wear a tie.
Mhm.
That might be part of the journey, but I know plenty of people that wear t-shirts. And now with COVID, we can see that that's not necessarily,
Listen.
it's all about is you working now. If you
Right.
don't care what you're doing. So it's
Right.
really important that, like you said, when you get your tax refund, are you really trying to build your wealth? Are you really trying to put yourself in a better position tomorrow? Or are you going to keep doing the same stuff that you've been doing? You already know on both sides, one of those plans, you already know how it played out because you're in
Mhm.
it right now.
Right.
So if you're going to try something different, I get it. It might be hard to relinquish and trust something. And you're talking about money. So it's even
Mhm.
harder. You get $4,000 or $5,000 and somebody's like, hey man, throw this on your credit card. That's gonna make your life a little easier. The average person will be like, nah, I don't know how that's gonna make me feel good. Like, and you
You
got like
know,
whatever. So yeah.
it's but when you do it, it is so freeing. I remember when I sent Navy Federal, I had been paying it down and it just really felt like I was never making a dent. Like, no lie, like just imagine it was almost $700 credit card payment that I was having to make. You know what I mean? I think the interest rate was around maybe 12%. I mean, I needed to legit pay like almost $2,000 a month in order to make a significant dent to have it paid off within 18 to 24 months. And I had other debt at the same time. There's so many different avenues that you can take into paying down debt. The snowball method was the one that I was using, but typically people like to start with the smallest. But listen, when I paid off that 18K to Navy Federal, I knew then that the rest of the debt was possible. You know what I mean? Like everything just kind of literally just kind of rolled into one, right? Also something that helped me, that I didn't have discipline in before. I had so many different credit cards. I had gotten to a point where in 2016, I was like, let me work on my credit. And I built my credit up really high. But then I found, that I got all these credit cards, and then I was just bogged down in credit card debt in less than 2 years. So that's the other part of the journey. And, people saying, oh, I want to work on my credit. I want to work on my credit. Well, what is it that you really want to do and accomplish? Right. Because you work on your credit and then you go, you acquire things and then you're back in debt. And that debt can essentially affect your credit if anything happens with your job, right? So I say that to say, pick which avenue works best for you. For me, it was constantly hearing, the story of, hey, this can be done. And then paying off the debt that I felt like cost like the biggest barrier to me, that caused me the most stress. It wasn't that I didn't have the money. It was just, that was so much money to be paying every month. Like, you know what I mean?
Now, depending on how long that debt had been sitting there, some of that might have been interest, so it might not have all been yours. But I get when you at that limit, when you're looking or reviewing, you're like, Dad, I didn't some kind of way I didn't ran up 18 grand.
Mm-hmm.
I can look at it because the statement's coming.
Absolutely.
What did I spend? Oh, you know what I mean? So it really helps. That's one thing I do think that paying off credit card debt does help, because you start to realize most things that you put on a credit card, there's a reason why they can't be financed any other way.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why the credit card has a high interest rate, because a lot of the things that you're buying with a credit card don't have any value at all. So
absolutely,
because it doesn't have any value, that's not something a institution can come pick up. So because they can't come pick up, that's why they got to try. It presents more risk to somebody lending you money. So then it's just like, okay, with the snowball method, one thing that I know a lot of people tend to do when they're sitting there trying to get this budget on, they're paying a little, whether you're doing snowball, avalanche, whatever, they're paying a little extra on everything. But in all these methods, one thing is consistent. You have to pay all the extra to one. You know what I mean? Whichever one you choose, you're going to do. You got to pay.
That's really what works best, instead of trying to pay a minimum or pay all of them. You got to pick one that you want to, pay down first, because once you begin to pay one and you see it, like just the encouragement that it can be done. I tell you, I used to like literally do like a thermometer for each bill that I had. And the closer that I got to paying it off, like it would just encourage me seeing that, you know what I mean? Whatever visualization, whatever you need in order for you to believe that it can happen, that's what it's really all about. It's just keeping your mind right and your mind focused, because trust me, there are going to be things that you want along the journey, but you have to stay the course. You have to remember why you're doing it. You know what I mean? And you got to keep that at the forefront, because is it easy? It can be. It can be. It's just a decision at the end of the day. It's just like with eating healthy. Like you just got to make the decision at the end of the day. And the biggest thing for me just to stay on the journey is, what am I looking at? Right. I'm in so many different financial groups on Facebook. The people that I talk to, we're all on the same journey. And that's just so important to have that support system that you need. Right. Yeah. And there's more than one way to skin a cat, know? because I tried different things in order to become debt free. But I would just definitely recommend that you put it all on paper, number one, to see what your outstanding debts are, what your monthly debts are, your reoccurring expenses are, and see where you can trim the fat. It's not as overwhelming as a lot of people think it is.
Right.
And especially when it comes to outstanding debt. And that was the biggest thing for me. I had debts that were just small amounts, like 1,500 here and there. Pick up the phone, call those people, and tell them people you got 750. And most times they're going to accept it, just kind of depending upon how old the debt is. But addressing the issue instead of continuing to run from it, that gave me more power too.
So good. I think people really don't understand
Mm-hmm.
the point of first, if you're like you said, if you're writing it down, you'll see you're about to run into an issue. If you
Right.
can see that you're about to run into an issue before the issue gets there, number one,
Mm-hmm.
from a financial institution standpoint, there are a lot of things a financial institution can do to help you help you manage through the issue. Even after, like you said, even after the fact, you trying to pay off your debt or you trying to get a collection, the fact that you don't address it makes the problem worse. If you don't
Absolutely.
address a health concern, you make the problem worse by not addressing it because you don't know what to do. But
Mm-hmm.
if you contact, or like you would not believe how much money a person can save on a debt just by simply, hey, being transparent. Hey, this is what I got. This is what I can do.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't do anything now, they're likely going to ask you, when do you think you can do something?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Right.
even if they can call and they can harass you, they can do a lot of different things. But the fact is, if you literally ain't got it, like a lot of people through COVID and all this different
Mm-hmm.
situations, if you literally don't have it, they can't make it be in your hand to give it to them. And then
Right.
if you do have it, it's no guarantee necessarily that they're going to be priority of somebody else.
Right.
So it's one of those things of it is a partnership because when you sign a bank account, sign whatever, you entered a business relationship. And that's courtesy of a business. Like, hey man, I run into a jam right now. I don't think I'm gonna be able to make my 15th car note.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Well, maybe we can change the date for you for this month.
Right.
Or, oh, really? Maybe we can look at these options. Something to help
Mm-hmm.
you alleviate. And it's so important that you engage, but you have to address it.
Mm-hmm.
Again, reiterating the point that, hey, you got to pull your credit report. I know it sucks. And it's one of those things of when you know it's out there, like that's why people don't like going to the doctor, you know what I mean? 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
that X-ray.
Mm-hmm.
What you finna come in here and say? I just want to
Right.
come in, and honestly, I don't even want to come in. Just let me go. Just let me get a bypass. But by
Mm-hmm.
coming in, that makes those visits shorter.
Mm-hmm.
But with your credit report, the only thing I can tell you, no matter how bad it is, number one, you live in America. It's always worse. But
Mm-hmm.
even you can be the worst thing in history, and still because you live in America, you still get a second, third, fourth chance to buy a home,
Mm-hmm.
buy. And credit numbers can be changed so quickly because it's a
Right.
system. Like I wouldn't be so concerned about that. Be concerned with having the money, like you said, paying off your debt. Because to be quite honest, you really want to jump your credit score. You really want to make yourself attractive. Pay off your debt. Make
Right.
yourself, eligible to be qualified for something. Because I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you right now, I've had the 515, I've had the 750, I've had the 800. That's all cool, but at the end of the day, I've had all those and I had no money. I've
Right.
had money, and you know what I mean. I have money, and I got
Right.
saying that score. All you're doing is trying to get a little bit less. You're trying to pay them the money back less. You're trying
Right.
to pay them less. That's all you're trying to do. But the fact
Absolutely.
is, 800 in the big scheme of things, there isn't really much difference from a 750, 800 when it comes in from a house. But in terms
Mm-hmm.
of car, 720, 800, people are getting it because this is an equal opportunity country where there are so many people that will treat you the same at a 720 as an 800. So you're
Right.
doing all this, doing all this spending, you're trying to do all these tricks. You don't have to just have the money. You,
Absolutely.
you just have the money. It's no point. But yeah, you do need to look at it. And then understand this. When you look at it, as far as debt is concerned, if it's on your credit report, that's it. So that, you know what I mean? That's the worst. That's the worst
Mm-hmm.
case scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Like unless something, you know what I mean, pop up. But at this point, that's the worst it's gonna be. So you might as
Right.
well start from there and then
Yep.
start going forward. So no, it's so good that you write these down. You have a goal. You stay focused. But more and more, I'm starting to hear the having the community, and I know the community is important, but I think it's definitely important to understand that it helps you build the confidence in yourself, and it helps you be able to relate. You won't ever be able to fully relate to one person identically because nobody's situation is exactly the same.
Exactly.
But you can get a lot of similarities. You can get a lot of people who they might be in the same career field and they were able to jump, and you can get ideas of how to jump in your career. You can get a lot of ideas of how to manage money, things that, hey, I didn't know people sold those things. Yeah, you can. This is how you do it. So you can get a lot of things from the community, or you could just simply get reinforcement to the fact that it may seem like I'm walking this journey alone, but I'm not, because there are other people doing this. They're struggling. They understand the emotional challenges of it, but I can still do it. They did it. It took them a while. To be honest, no matter when you get out of debt or if you get out of debt, the fact is you did it slower than somebody and you did it faster than somebody. You paid less than somebody, you paid more than somebody else. So that's going to apply to whatever scenario you're in. But it is a good key feature to understand that don't measure your success like everything else in life.
Exactly.
What you see in other people doing. If only thing I encourage you to do about the community is understand that you can do it. Now, how they're doing it and what they did, don't compare that. But
there you go.
Just the fact that they did it is enough. So good. So you paid off this 65. What have you now that you're kind of on the other side of things? What have you been able to glean about your situation since kind of getting out of the debt piece?
Man, just so much, the endless possibilities, you know what I mean? I still have credit cards and things like that with Navy Federal and other banks and,
You will take a chance.
But listen, that available credit just gonna sit.
It's gonna be available.
But it's so crazy how much they're willing to extend. But now my goal has changed. Now that I'm debt free, I'm like, man, do I really want to go get a crazy mortgage? $400,000 or $500,000 home. Instead, I said, what, I want to get into real estate, but I wanted to do a different avenue. You know what I mean? Honestly, the goal now, I would like to build my own luxury apartment complex. That's the 3 to 5 year plan. Go ahead and get 20, 30K coming in. But real estate is the play for me right now, getting some investment properties. Also, just kind of wholesaling and things like that within the real estate market. That's where all my time and money goes now, right? I'm still employed with my full-time job, but, I found a way to increase my income. But, with that increase in income, I'm looking to just kind of build wealth, right? I'm trying to truly make money in my sleep and looking for other ways, just to have extra exit strategy so that I'm not in the corporate world anymore, but I'm still maintaining, a debt-free mindset. And I think that that's so important. I know people that have gotten out of debt, and I listen to those stories as well. I know people that have gotten out of debt and then they've fallen back into debt, right? Because like I said, now that I've gotten out of debt, the credit card offers and stuff are just so overwhelming. Like everyone wants to extend some type of debt to me. Pre-approval offers come all the time. You know what I mean? But remember why you got out of debt to begin with. And I'm using the fact that I'm out of debt and I have so much disposable income, to turn around and allow that to help me make more money at the end of the day, So for me, it's just, all about investing and finding ways to let my money make money for me at the end of the day, so that I can walk away from my job in 6 months. That's the ultimate freedom for me. Getting out of, debt was freedom, but this is a different type of freedom. I wake up some days and, just a peace of mind of knowing that, listen, I'm not bound by anyone or anything, you know what I mean? Because my bills are going to be paid at the end of the day, it's just so freeing. It's so freeing, and finding the right avenues to invest from here on out, is just my main focus. That's why I absolutely love your group. You're always talking about investing and things like that. Um, that's where I am right now. It's just all about investing. Whether it's real estate or stock market, those are the two avenues that I've chosen just to kind of explore further. Will I eventually buy that dream home I want? Maybe in a couple years, but right now, I don't want that type of debt.
No, I understand. Hey, it's
Right.
your choice. You don't
That's right.
have to rush and buy a house, and you're not gonna be uh, crucified, or I would hope no one would crucify you for it. But no, it's important that and that's good. Your story, your dreams and goals are unique to you, and ultimately it's your money. What you want to do with it. You know what I mean? You want to invest. You invest in the best way you want to have, but that don't mean you have to go buy a house. And some people don't buy houses. That don't mean you don't have to build wealth.
Absolutely.
And so, there are many different ways to do it. So that's so good.
And let
What
me
would
say this, I don't want to discourage people from buying a home, right?
right?
At all. And I still have those goals, dreams, and aspirations. But for right now, I want to enjoy the freedom of, listen, I got this rent to pay, I got this cell phone bill to pay, and I got this car insurance, and that's it.
Yeah, simplification.
That, I mean, maybe a few other things here and there like water and lights, but I want to enjoy this moment because I want to remember what this feels like. You know what I mean? And when I do buy a home, I want it to be something that I can't afford, but I also want it to be what I want. You know what I mean? um, and I want to have a strategy for paying that off sooner as well. I know they have 15-year mortgages, 30-year mortgages, but those things
How
can
you
be
important.
paid off
That's
sooner.
why it's important that people talk, because the times are getting extended, and you need to understand what to do.
Right.
No, so good. That is so good. It's really about personal finances, 100% personal. You make it personal for yourself. You make your journey personal, and to be honest, what you've done already is just a testament to what you will be able, the things you could potentially do. So
Absolutely.
man, so good. So what would you say, since you're focused on the business, and before I transition and kind of begin to wrap up, what would you say was really the hardest thing? Because I know you mentioned a couple times, and one of the things that I don't think gets enough discussion is when someone increases their income, and I would say kind of a real noticeable increase. You're getting 30% more,
Right.
20, like really, really noticeable increase. How do you kind of keep yourself in check? And mind you, I think that's when the biggest temptation comes, because
Mhm.
now say you have this extra income. It sounds
Mhm.
good, don't get me wrong. It does
It
sound on paper.
does.
So if somebody's like, oh man, last month I made $3,000 a month, and then the next month
Mhm.
I was able to grow my income, I'm making $10,000 a month, like they take home. So what was one thing or two things that you would share when you look that you did as that increase came in? That, number one, kind of keep yourself in check a little bit, but make sure that you're being prudent with those dollars.
Mhm.
Because the challenge, it makes you irritable. Like you start to shake. like
It does. It does. And for me, the one thing that I did, man, listen, I focus on the freedom. Like, I can't tell you that enough. Like, it's so ingrained in my mind, the freedom that I wanted. Um, and I talk about paying, my Navy Federal credit card bill. When I paid that $18,000, it was a commission check that I had gotten, and it probably left me with $2,000 after.
right.
I wasn't like, what, I'm going to pay 10,000 on it and just pay the other balance whenever. No, I went all out, like guns blazing. Like, I was like, you know what? Let me take care of this, because the stress of having it
Right.
was crazy. It was crazy because I saw how much interest I was paying and how it barely affected the balance. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? At the end of the day, is mindset and how bad do you want it? You know
Mm,
what I mean? If I didn't have any money in the bank after I paid it, I would probably still did it at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and I knew that was the biggest one.
Yeah, and the funny thing that I always find interesting, because I went through the same thing. When you first get that $1,000, or when you first get 2,000 or 5,000, whatever you get in your account, people tend to forget. Oh man, I need it just in case of emergency. Well, you've been running on E for years, and and you somehow found a way. So you mean to tell me you can't go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off, and we're talking about days, not years. You lived years like this. You finally get you a couple grand in. No, I'm not gonna. It'll take you 30 days, 30, 60 days. You'll be right back. But that piece will be gone. So because you're right back, now you're gonna go zoom forward. So it's really one of those things. I just found that interesting that when, again, whether you get a promotion or whether you get a nice little windfall or whether you get a bonus or a tax refund or whatever the case may be, when you get a lump sum of cash, and in theory, before you knew this was coming, but before you got this financial plan or you talk to people and you're like, oh, if I had that type of money, this is what I'd do. Well, the true testament, like you said, is when you get that money,
are you going to make the right decision?
This is where you got to put up or shut up. Because to be honest, because if you don't, it's going to be more of the same. It's going to be worse. And the only thing, to your point about people who make more money, their time will actually come. It's just because they make so much money, they can delay the inevitable coming. But it's coming. It's just not going to come as quick as if they was in a lower income bracket where that would turn on them really quick. So no, so good. So I know you have a business venture that you're going. I want you to share your information there. And guys, if you're on YouTube, if you're stuck with us this long, make sure you subscribe, like. We're going to leave her information in the description box below. If you're in the Money Talks group, I'm going to definitely share it in the group. Tell us a little bit about your business, what you're focused on, and how people are reaching you this way.
Absolutely. So you can, of course, reach me on Facebook at High Stakes REI for real estate investments. Facebook as well as Instagram, High Stakes REI. And at the end of the day, I want to provide the same financial freedom to, those that own homes that need it. If you are looking to sell your home and get an all cash offer for whatever reason, you're facing pre-foreclosure, tax liens, things of that nature, or you're in probate court, you've inherited a property and, just kind of don't know what to do with it, reach out and let me help provide you with some solutions to give you some financial relief so that, you can start your debt-free journey and start over. Don't let it hit your credit and then your credit go bad, because there's just no need, reach out. So at this point, I'm into educating and providing solutions to the real estate market and helping those, just kind of hopefully, get debt free as well. Whatever it is that you need, let's just kind of talk about that and see what it is that I can do for you and go from there. And again, High Stakes Real Estate Investments. And that's on Facebook as well as Instagram. But again, thank you, Jonathan, just for having me. It's been a pleasure. I'm active in the group as much as I can be. Stay dropping gems. Y'all make sure that y'all follow him. Check out his podcast and his money tips, because this is what it's all about. If you're trying to stay the course, right? You got to plug in. It's not just a one conversation type thing. You got to make it a daily thing. Anything that you put your energy towards, that's what you're going to manifest at the end of the day. And, on this journey, you're going to need consistent and constant encouragement. And it's right here in this group. And that's what, I love the most. And I'm happy to be a part, happy to be here today.
No, my pleasure. So one last thing, guys, like I said, if you missed her info, I definitely link it down. Definitely appreciate you joining us. But one thing I always ask all my guests to do is share what you would tell someone that's either beginning their debt-free journey, maybe they're single, maybe they're trying to get their, maybe they have a spouse or boyfriend or something and trying to get them on the same page, or maybe they're in the journey, how you would encourage them throughout this process, whether it's beginning or if you're in it, things that you would tell them, how you would encourage them. I always ask my guests to do that, and I would appreciate if you share as well.
Absolutely. Smart plan. I'm very goal oriented. And at the end of the day, a smart plan is, what's needed in order to keep you focused, right? If you don't have a vision, and it's not written, how do you know where you're going at the end of the day? And the goal, a smart plan, a smart goal rather, you're not just writing down that you want to be debt free, but you're taking it a step further. You're listing every debt that you have. You're listing, the monthly payment amount and what's needed in order for you to pay off that debt. There's so many debt amortization calculators online that you can go to figure out how to pay off your debt, faster. I encourage people to utilize those. That's something that I did. And there's so many different ways that you can do that, but you need a plan and put it on paper, right? Because when it's written down for you and you can just execute it and it's not anything that you have to think about, it makes it that much easier, right? Um, because you already know what the end goal is going to be if you execute the said steps. So I would just encourage anyone to, write it down, make some concrete goals and, work the plan at the end of the day. It's not enough just to have the plan. You have to actually work the plan and execute the plan. So, it sounds simple, and it can be, at the end of the day. It's only hard when we make it hard.
No, I mean it's hard because you got to stick with it.
You gotta stick with it.
You got to stick with it. But no, you're absolutely correct. It's so good. You do have to write it down on paper. You do have to have a direction that you're taking because, to be honest, the direction tells you what decisions you need to make. Once you say, "Hey, I'm trying to be debt free," or "Hey, I'm trying to buy a house," that will tell you. That will open up a series of answers to questions of, well, if I'm trying to buy a house, what do I need to do?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, I need to do X, Y, and Z. How do I need to have my budget? Well, that will tell you from a budget standpoint, I need to be focused on this. If I'm trying to build up my investment, what do you need to do? Essentially, some of the same things will apply. Decrease your expenses, try to raise your income, and start actually saving. And I mean, in both cases, you have to save, invest, and pay off debt using that extra money and actually paying it off, however fast you can do it. And however hard you're willing to work to do it. But the fact is, it is a journey. And it is okay, even if you paid off 3 debts this year. Maybe you paid off 1. Maybe you just paid, like, you save some money.
I think you're having some technical difficulties, Jonathan. It looks like you froze up. Mm-hmm.
All right.
There you go. I had some technical difficulties.
Yeah, I had technical difficulties.
All good.
This is the pivoting thing. I'll learn better. But the point is, it is going to be challenges. But if you stick with it, you'll get to the end. If you stop in the middle of a challenge, you will erase the progress. So you start, you keep with it. Don't give up. You may slow down, but don't give up. Keep trucking. And before you know it, you'll pick up the momentum. But a lot of people that I've talked to, and a lot, even in myself, when you start going, somehow I've seen more momentum cases than, oh, I had to slow down, unless there was like a life event that occurred. But other than that, most people, they picked up momentum because the deeper you get into this, the more you're learning, the more you're focused, the more you're finding more opportunities and more things are starting to happen. So yeah, so good. Definitely appreciate you stopping through, guys.
Thank you.
Already, again, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you guys. Make sure you have a good upcoming holiday, and we will see you guys really in the new year. I may do a cast next year, next week. But the next guest will be next year, so it'll be 2021. So this will be the last guest for the year. So I definitely appreciate you being on. So good. So
thank you. I appreciate